Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. Hope all is well. Shout out to all my troopers out there, man. I am your host, Q Bracy. And today, man, we're going to be answering the question, are women evil? Right? Like we was all brought into this world with default settings, right? It's amazing being a father, raising children. It's like you realize after you have one child, I have four daughters for those of you that don't know me. It's amazing how you can see like one child at 2 years old and you fascinated by everything they do. Then you see your second child at 2 years old and you realize, oh, they doing some things similar to my last 2 year old. Then you get to your third child and you realize that what you thought was unique at one point, you know what I mean, is actually just a cycle that we go through in our development. So these would be called default settings because even though we are thinking like that, default means normal, right? So when we look at a situation, we say, okay, is this person above normal, exceptional? Are they below normal? Are they not progressing? And it's not to say, are they casting aspersion on their future and what they'll be in the future, but it's asking a very, it's seeing where you are, right? And from this, we make adjustments. And so this is pretty much why we ask the question, right? Like, are women evil inherently? Okay. So that's what today's show is about. But what I'm really excited about today is I have a special guest coming on about a brother by the name of Muhammad Cannon. Now, the reason why I'm excited about having this brother on is for one, because I think that when it comes to dialogues and things of that nature, um, I love the way he speaks. I love his perspective on different things. And the other reason why I'm excited about him coming on is because, have you ever heard that expression? If you see a man and then you see the 10 people that he's around, that tells you a lot about that man. Like, as we go through this journey, with the internet, it's something that I'm not new to, but, you know, I come from a different era with a different set of rules. So I'm engaged in the real world. So a lot of times when you see people on the internet, you don't really know who they are, right? They come on as an individual, they speak as an individual, and a lot of the things that you know about them, you know them through associations with other YouTube individuals, right? So it's nothing concrete, right? Um, but the reason why I'm excited to have this brother on is because, this is a reflection of me. This is somebody that I've known for 10 plus years, learned a lot from. And so I believe, like I said, a lot of times you validate who somebody is by the type of individuals they hang around. And so, like I said, at the end of the day, that's ultimately why I'm excited to have this brother on. And he'll be coming through a little bit later. He was actually the one who put me up on the Shakur Stevens um, situation that happened. If you didn't see that video, I covered this video couple of days ago, Friday. So what's that? 2 days ago on May 1st. Okay. And we dove very deep. We went beneath the surface on some of these issues that we see in out here. So that's what pretty much what I'm gonna be building on today with you fellas. And once again, to me, it's important that we always have the solution, right? A lot of people come with the problem, they don't come with the solution. Now, don't be the type of individual that keep needing more and more solutions, because what you actually showing is that you're not gonna do anything. You only interested in talking. That's why you need a million and one solutions, right? It don't take all of that to, make the changes necessary that need to be made. So first thing I want to get into before my guy comes on is this conversation that Jesse Lee Peterson was having with a woman that called in and said she was a virtuous woman. All right. I'm reacting to this. I want to say fair use because I have been getting some copyright claims lately. Right. So I want to say fair use. I'm using this as a teaching tool so that brothers can learn and be able to discern. All right. So let's get into this video with Jesse Lee Peterson talking to this woman.
It's a first-time call out of Georgia. Georgia, on my mind. Danique, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Thank you, Jesse. I love you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. So basically, I have a question about single women. I was listening to your show. And
single women or single mothers?
Single mothers. I apologize.
Okay.
That.
All right.
A guy called in and he stated that he was dating a single mother. And you were like, oh, no, you were stating that, you shouldn't date single mothers.
Right.
I think the guy was in his 20s, and I think the lady was in her 30s or 40s or something like that. I can't remember. And I have a question about that. Are you saying that all single mothers are basically like no good, or you shouldn't date them?
Not that they're no good, but you shouldn't date a single mother because you should not come between the mother and the child or the children, because the kids who are with single mothers, boys and girls, are suffering. Mm-hmm. They're suffering because they're yearning for their fathers. And since the father's not around, when the woman bring in another man or another man bring in a woman, they'll try to get ego attention from each other, and the kids are being left out. So now the kids feel like they're being invaded upon by another woman or another man in the family. So it creates more anger and hardship for the children.
But if men don't date single mothers, because most women.
So I want to point out how she completely just ignored everything that he just said about the children. I just want to point that out.
And have children.
Right.
And the divorce rate is really high these days. So, that's going to cause more homosexuality, because, there's a lot of women that are single mothers. So if we, all kept that theory, then, nobody would really date.
But if a woman already have children, she doesn't need to date. She needs to be putting the attention on the children.
So he's bringing her attention back to what? The children. Let's see what her response is. Because she just said something bogus about being gay. What is she talking about?
And so that they can at least have a little bit of a chance to have a life, right? And then, and when men get involved with women who have already have children or already been married with children, they'll just it's like they're taking on another man's trouble, because the reason that woman not with the man because she was impossible to deal with. And so it's just bringing on problem for another man. It's not going to work out anyway.
He also just said something else very hard hitting. Most men don't leave relationships. Usually if a man and a woman is not together, it's because the woman decided that she wanted to break up.
Yeah, but the Bible, it gives you the right to remarry, if you want. Like if you're a widow, like in my case, my husband passed 2 years ago, and I don't want to date I agree with what you're saying, but there's a lot of women that don't agree with what I'm saying, because I too think you shouldn't date. You should just focus on your children.
Right.
And plus, I don't want to bring another man around my children. I just want to focus on my kids.
Yeah.
But what about the women that do want to remarry? In the Bible, it says that, in other words, it's okay that, if you remarry.
Well,
But it's best
most
that you
women
remain
are
single.
most women are real selfish. Just because they want it doesn't mean that the man should do it, right? Because women don't know what they want, and it's a man's responsibility to show the woman the right way. And so, rather than the men marry these women, they should correct them on it and remind them that they need to raise their children. It's not about trying to find love, because it's not real love anyway. And they need to correct the women rather than marrying them.
So he keep telling her at the end of the day, men don't need to marry you. And he also, I've seen one person do this in my life, which was my school teacher. He got a divorce from his wife, and he told that woman he got a new woman, and he told me that he told her he would not marry her until those children left the household.
So you're saying women don't know what they want,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
But what about the Proverbs 31 woman in the Bible, where, she got, about the Proverbs 31 woman when she was like a business owner and she had a vineyard, she made clothes. I mean, it sounded like she knew what she wanted. She was a Proverbs 31 woman, a virtuous woman. So what about that?
That's not a sign that she knew what she wanted, because she made clothes and all that. And I don't know what does that mean, the Proverb 31 woman? That's what she called herself?
Well, I mean,
Her name
I
was
think
Proverb.
it was Lemuel.
Her Proverb.
No, that wasn't her name, but I think King Lemuel, his mother.
Why are you
was
calling her the
telling-
Proverb 31 woman?
Well, normally, I don't want to say normally, but in Proverbs 31, I get a description of a virtuous woman.
But why are you
And,
calling her that? Most women today are not virtuous women.
Okay, well, you
This is also very important.
can't say most. I mean, because you haven't met every woman.
Well, that's
See, so now this is where I wanted to start the video, but I needed you to hear the build up to everything, the reason why she called in and everything like that. So now this is the first time that Jessie is going to say something very potent, and she's going to be lost, okay, or rebellious. He just told her something very simple. Most women today are not Proverbs 39 women. What was her response?
not virtuous women.
Okay, well, you can't say most. I mean, because you haven't met every woman.
Well, that's what I said, most. Not all, not all, not all.
So she automatically starts making a nonsensical argument. You can't say most because you haven't met all.
Not all. But most women today
Well,
are
you
not
can't really
virtuous
say
women.
most.
I'm sorry?
Well, you can't really say that.
Why would you
Jesse.
call somebody show and tell them what they can and can't say?
Okay,
This
wait
is
a
what
minute.
women try to do. Tell you how you need to speak and how you need to do things. This is the problem in our society.
You met a virtuous woman. What the?
Well, I consider myself a virtuous woman.
So you're where you want, or you consider yourself that?
I mean, I consider myself a virtuous woman.
Were
I mean,
you a
there's
virtuous
lot of
woman?
virtuous-
Before you got, are you married now? Oh, your husband
My
died,
husband
right?
passed. Yes,
Are you
he
saying
passed
you were
2 years ago.
what's a virtuous woman?
A virtuous woman. Jesse, you're a reverend. I'm sure you read Proverbs 31.
But y'all got
before.
all these names that kind of sound nice, but they're not made up to sound nice, but it's not real. What is a virtuous woman?
Jesse, I'm sure you want me to read Proverbs 31
No,
to you?
I just want
'Cause
you to
you're a
tell
reverend,
me.
You know what that means.
In short, tell me, what is a virtuous woman?
A virtuous woman to me is a woman that handles business and she makes sure that her household is okay. She takes care of her priorities.
Is she a
and she takes
non-married
care of
woman?
her children. She can be, I consider a virtuous woman. She could either be married
I know, but this
or she could be
Proverb
a wife.
30, the Proverb 31 woman, is she a married woman or unmarried?
She's married.
And so she's cooking and cleaning and sewing. That's what she's supposed to do.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with that because I cook. I take care of the household by myself. My husband is not here. And there's a lot of other widows that are also taking care of their responsibilities.
And so what is a virtuous woman?
A virtuous woman, again, is a woman that takes care of the household.
It's a straw man.
She takes care of her responsibilities. She respects herself.
But it's hard to find women like, and that doesn't make a virtuous woman. That just make a woman doing what she's supposed to be doing. But it's hard to find women like that. They don't exist anymore. A few, not all, but most. But women today are competing with men, trying to be men.
Well, and there's a lot of men that's trying to be women.
See, every time he says something about women, she cannot accept it, but she's calling about a virtuous woman.
No,
Well,
but we're
especially
talking
in
about the
Atlanta.
virtuous woman.
I understand that. And like I said, and I'm not being difficult because, like I said, I love your show and I
She
like
is being difficult, but
a lot of your
No, I
theories,
don't think
but
I don't
just-
think you're being difficult. You don't need to explain that.
Okay. Yeah. So, but I just basically wanted to just ask you about, single mothers, because all single mothers are not bad people, Jesse, and all of us are not just having kids out of wedlock. A lot of us still respect family. Like, I really respect family, and I teach my girls
But
to respect family as well.
if she would like that, and she would not be trying to date and bring some other man into the home or look for love. She would raise that man's children. Let's say the husband died, right? She would raise
Yes.
his children, and then she would be able to enjoy her children's children. But most women are
I
not
agree
like
with
that.
you.
Most women I know women who call themselves virtuous women. I've seen them, different shows and things, and
Yes.
nothing virtuous about them at all.
Okay, but women, 'cause I know it also says in the Bible. I think I don't.
she's anything he brings up about women, and this is why we asking the question today, gentlemen: are women evil? If a person's default response is to never take responsibility for anything, how can anything good actually come from them being in leadership? How could they ever be trusted? A lot of y'all guys are talking and y'all are, going to bat for women. But if you are dealing with women who will not take accountability and responsibility, how can you how is anything virtuous about not taking accountability?
Remember what verse it's in, that older women are supposed to teach the younger women. So maybe some young women that may be going astray, they could aspire to be virtuous women.
But women today, and I would say from 60 down, they are not
Yes.
capable of teaching anyone because they don't know anything. They're all emotional. They have hatred in their hearts.
And these are the ones that started it. I did a whole video about it being 3 generations deep, 4 generations deep at this point.
They want to be like a man. They don't want to stay home and raise the children. And they're on ego trips and stuff like that. And they can't teach the young girls anything because they don't know anything.
But do you think the father, a lot of that plays a part because a lot of the fathers are not in the home? A lot of them are in jail.
Once again, she brought up something, and when he tried to make her accountable, she switches the subject. She asked him about older women teaching younger women, and he gave her a response, and then she said, well, don't you think that's part of the man's problem? Or that's what she's going to ask now.
Or a lot of them may have turned to homosexuality, or a lot of them just don't want to take care of their responsibilities.
Well,
So a lot
not
of
that they
women
don't.
have a lot.
Those things are happening. You're right about that. But most fathers want to be there and raise their children and guide the woman in the right way to go. But they don't know how to deal with the anger of the woman. They don't realize, they don't know how to deal with the hell that's in her.
So now what Jesse is pointing to right now is a default setting, which is why we're talking about this. He's pointing to a default setting. He's saying that the way that most women come in, especially nowadays, is with this default setting, and most men don't understand how to deal with this default setting.
And so they end up leaving the woman, not their children, not his children, but the woman to make the woman to make the children think that the father left them when he really didn't leave them, he left her. That's how evil she is. She won't say, you know what, your father left me. He didn't leave you guys. I was held to deal with. He didn't know how to deal with it. I was just like his mama, and he didn't know how to deal with it. But they'll make the children think that the father didn't care about them, or they'll make the children think that, oh, your daddy was abusive. Your daddy this, an alcoholic.
Yo, is that you, Mo? Is that my brother Mo?
Drug addict. They don't tell the children the truth about themselves.
What do you think, instead of beating women down that, do say those things to their children?
So now she's saying instead of beating women down, but let's be clear. All she's done in this interview is say negative things about men and blame men for everything. So when it comes to accountability, women always say, well, you beating us down. If holding a woman accountable is equivalent to abuse, where are we going? What are we doing? And this is why, gentlemen, you have to overcome the shame that has been placed inside your mind and your heart when it comes to being a leader and being firm and doing what you're actually supposed to do. Because what a lot of men run into is when they're doing what they're actually supposed to do, they're being called abusive or oppressive.
I think you should encourage them, give them encouraging words instead of trying to beat them down. Because a lot of times, some people just need an encouraging word.
What do you
all
mean?
Women say the same thing. They all say the same thing. It's all BS. Since we've been listening to this, she has taken no accountability, and she's saying, "Why don't you encourage me?"
Keep them down.
Well, the things that you're saying with your words, because
like what, for an example?
Like when you say women are evil, and they're
is that true?
That's not true, Jesse.
Women are not evil.
All women are not evil.
Are you saying that the devil does not work through the woman?
Now, this is why this whole question exists. Is this her default setting? Gentlemen, what you have been taught is that her default setting is sugar and spice and everything nice. And this is putting you in so much trouble. I never forget, I was listening to who was these guys? They had Fresh and Fit on, and they was like, you should trust your spouse in a relationship. You shouldn't just assume. It was like two comedian dudes. One of them worked with Charlamagne. He was like, you shouldn't just assume that your girl is this way ahead of time. So we okay basically with assuming that a woman is sugar and spice and everything nice, but we are not okay with walking in with the assumption that that smile, that soft voice, all those things you hearing, those things can be very misleading into what you actually are dealing with when you're dealing with the woman. Let's keep listening.
The devil does not work through all women.
No, does the devil work through the woman?
The devil works through some women.
The devil works through all women. The devil works through all women until they have been born of the Father. Is that true?
Where's that in the Bible, Jesse?
Genesis.
The devil works through all women.
It's in Genesis, but shout out to my man Kingship. It's also in Timothy 2, where it says women are gullible. Would you consider the default setting of being gullible? Would you consider that evil?
Genesis, where the serpent?
The Adam and Eve story.
I've never read specifically.
Oh, so you read about the virtuous woman, but you didn't read about the devil and Eve.
I read about the serpent and Eve. I did. I read about it, and it stated
so
that
the serpent still worked through Eve.
The devil still works through everybody if they don't.
But it comes through the woman. Though. It comes through the woman, right?
Well,
she won't give up. She won't give it up.
Hold on for me. Hold on. Let me take a break. I want to go back.
Now, what's the troubling part about not giving up? It's like when you in the AA program, you rehabbing. The first thing you have to do is admit that you have a problem. that's actually a sign of strength. You know, if you keep running around here denying the reality of things, then you're gonna first and foremost not be able to receive the correction. That means you're under no one's guidance, and we're gonna continue to cycle over and over and over again because you haven't even admitted that you have a problem. Now, what is the problem? Jesse's gonna break down the problem right now.
To Danique, a first-time caller out of Georgia, on my mind. And Danique is talking about the virtuous woman, which doesn't exist, by the way. And man should never marry a single mother. Danique, so are you aware of the fall with the Adam and Eve story, right?
Yes, I am.
And are you aware that when that fall happened, that the devil became the woman's god?
I'm aware that the fall occurred, but I still don't think that the devil became the woman's God. Because remember when the Lord came into the garden and he asked for the man, he asked, "Where are you?" Why didn't he ask for the woman first?
Because the man was supposed to stop the woman from doing it. But
exactly.
he
So
listened to the woman. He listened to the woman, and as a result, he could no longer listen to his father. So he hid from his father because he listened to the woman. But you are aware that the devil became the woman's god, and then the woman became, when Adam listened to the woman became the man's god, right?
Well, don't you think the devil became Adam's God as well, because he listened to the woman and the woman listened to the snake, the serpent. So you can't just blame the woman.
So
once again, not willing to take responsibility. Now, what he just said is very important. Let me go back on that because he says something very important, very valuable.
He could no longer listen to his father, so he
because remember when
that fall happened, that the devil became the woman's god?
I'm aware that the fall occurred, but I still don't think that the devil.
So what we have to understand is this, gentlemen, this is the reality. In the beginning of this conversation that Jesse is having with this woman, right? He talks about women not wanting to stay in their place, women wanting to be like men. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you, okay, what exactly is written in the Bible, because it gets deep, because this is the first step to admitting that you have a problem. Here's the problem right here. Let's talk about the fall, okay? It says, now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord had made. He said to the woman, did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? The woman said to the serpent, we may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say you must not eat from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it or you will die. You will not certainly die, the serpent said to the woman. So she's admitting right here that she understands what was being said. And we can say that the serpent was crafty, but it wasn't actually that. It wasn't. Being crafty means that you know how to appeal to something that's deep inside of somebody. This means that this was inside of her. Okay. This is what he said. For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. He said you will be like God. See, one of the things that Kevin Samuels always talks about on his show is this idea that, you know, they had this show where you had men out on the island. I forget the name of the show. And you had women out on the island, right? And the women ended up needing the men because they couldn't survive. one of the main reasons why the women could not survive is because they did not accept hierarchy. And when you look at the feminist movement and you look at a central theme in the feminist movement, the central theme is equality, which means a rebellious nature towards hierarchy. But here's the catch 22 is when you see that woman, I did a video, when you see that woman standing on top of that man and that woman getting ready to cut their heads off, right? Though it's very crafty because the woman actually doesn't believe in equality neither. She actually wants to be superior. But when she get up there, there's a guilt trip about her being up there because she understands that whatever she thought it was, it's not what she thought it was. That's when she comes back and make you responsible. But when they say that the serpent was crafty, what they basically saying is that the serpent knows how to appeal to what's deep down inside of you. And what was deep down inside this woman is that she wanted to be like God, knowing good and evil. When the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and ate it. She also gave some to her husband. This is why what I teach you guys becomes so vital, because a lot of y'all have bit the apple. Instead of you being a man, you pretty much asking, for permission to be a man. She also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it. Then the eyes of both of them were open, and they realized they were naked. So they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. So all I'm saying to you, gentlemen, is the deep down desire of a woman is to want to be like God. This is the reality of the situation. Because in order for a lot of women, in order for them to have a relationship with God, they would have to deal with a man. Because a lot of the acts that they engage in, they can only engage in those acts with a husband, building a family. So when you bypass the man and you engage in certain activities, you're in a perpetual state of committing sin, trying to justify it. Let's keep listening. Let's see.
Became the women's.
Let me go back.
The Lord came to the garden and he asked for the man. He asked, "Where are you?" Why didn't he ask for the woman first?
Because the man was supposed to stop the woman from doing it.
And this is what you're supposed to do, gentlemen. A lot of y'all think your masculinity is tested by other men, but your masculinity is actually tested more by women, because women are soft. And what tends to happen when y'all deal with women is you get soft. So now God is coming to you like, "What's up?"
But
Exactly.
he
So why didn't he
listened
do
to the
that?
woman. He listened to the woman, and as a result, he could no longer listen to his father. So he hid from his father because he listened to the woman. But you are aware that the devil became the woman's god, and then the woman became, when Adam listened to the woman became the man's god, right?
And now, when we talk about the devil, we have to be when we talk about being crafty, we have to realize that the devil still exists today. And we have to realize that what the devil did was told women a lie, right? There was a lie told, the women believed it, and they actually became less than. Okay. Do we not see the same thing happening with feminism today? Do we not see the same thing happening in our modern day world where women, a lot of women have been lied to, and they figure out too late that they have been lied to? This is why we read Timothy, and it speaks about the gullible nature of women. Let's keep listening.
Well, don't you think
No.
the devil became Adam's God as well, because he listened to the woman and the woman listened to the snake, the serpent. So you
So,
can't just blame the woman. You
so
said
when
it
the
like
woman
beat
listened to the
Adam up.
devil, when the woman listened to the devil, and the devil became her God, and she would no longer obey and listen to her husband. And when the man listened to the woman who had listened to the woman became his God, and he could no longer listen to his father. Is that right?
Because most of y'all guys will not get taken out by the devil. Most of you guys are going to get taken out by the woman who's already in that situation, because she softens it, right? What is a woman? A woman is the ultimate symbol of pleasure to a man. The sound of her voice, the way that she looks, the way that she smells. That's how most of y'all get seduced. You don't get seduced by the serpent. You get seduced by the woman.
No, because I believe both of them fell and both of them were separated from God.
You said both of
Because
them what?
They did. Both of them were separated from God because they listened to the serpent.
Well, the woman was separated from the man, and the man was separated from God.
But God kicked both of them out the Garden of Eden.
Right, because the woman had listened to the devil and the man had listened to the woman. And so they both got kicked out.
So they're both to blame, not just the woman.
But the woman is to blame for listening to the devil, right?
But God put the man in the garden first.
It's the
To
woman
manage
to
the garden,
blame.
he should have managed the woman as well. He managed the animals. He named the animals. Why he couldn't manage the woman?
It's
and
the
take
woman.
charge, like he took charge of the animals.
It's the woman to blame for listening to the devil.
It's the man to blame as well, because he didn't listen to God neither. God put
This is a pivotal part of the conversation.
both of them.
It's the woman to
Not
blame
to
for
touch the
listening
fruit.
to the devil.
The woman and the man is to blame, not just the woman, but both of them.
It's the woman to blame for listening to the devil.
It's Adam and the woman that both listened.
Is the woman to blame for listening to the devil?
Jesse, I can't say that the woman
He's asked this question 5 times now. Pay attention.
is just to blame both of them were at fault.
But
That's
I'm
why
asking
God
you
kicked both
about
of them
the
out the
woman.
garden.
I'm asking you about the woman.
Okay.
Is the woman to blame for listening to the devil?
She takes part in it.
Is the woman blamed for listening to the devil?
Jesse, you can't leave somebody.
This is
out.
Tim Tom
They both
asking.
take part in it. God told both of them that.
Is the woman
Not
a
because
one individual person?
she's one individual
And
person.
is that one individual person, the woman, to blame for listening to the devil?
I just can't. I'm sorry, Jesse. I can't just say that.
When we ask the question, are women evil? You want to understand, you asking her a question. It's simply stated in the Bible. She called about women being virtuous. Now, Jesse points out in the Bible, Adam and Eve's story, and it's very clear in the story. It's in black and white that the woman listened to the serpent and bit the apple. Why? What else would it be besides a default evil nature that would make this woman not just answer the question? And I'm telling you, gentlemen, they refuse to answer simple questions. But keep listening.
That the woman is to blame. I think both of them are to blame.
But you don't think the woman is to blame by herself?
Not by herself.
But she's the one that listened to the devil. She was one person who listened to the devil. Why isn't she to blame for listening to the devil by herself?
because God stuck with both of them.
This is so amazing. It's the
I mean,
man to blame
it's the
for.
truth.
It's the man to blame for listening to the woman.
Yes.
See how easy she answered that? Gentlemen, you don't understand what you're dealing with when you're dealing with females. You're going to, as you're in a position where you are, the only way you're going to be in a win-win situation is if you put yourself in a win-win situation. Because if you put your faith in women instead of God, you're going to be in a lose-lose situation. He asked this woman 8, 9, 10 times, did the woman have any responsibility for her own actions listening to the serpent? She constantly said, no, 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 no. We share blame. You want to understand that she's actually calling in if you just got in because she's asking about the virtuous woman. So she's saying, I'm a woman of virtue. This woman that he's speaking to right now is not a woman of virtue. And this is the problem that we're having, because you cannot be a virtuous woman and you can't even admit something that's written in plain English. If that's the case, as your husband, I can't hold you accountable for nothing. And that was one of Adam's biggest problems in the Garden of Eden, is he was too loosey-goosey. Let's keep listening.
The man
See how
is
easy
trying
she
to
said yes to
think
that?
Very
about it.
easy.
So how
Because,
come
I
you
mean,
didn't say? Why didn't you say, oh, they both to blame? Why you just said yes on that one?
because Eve
You a
listened to the
virtuous
serpent.
woman.
No, Jesse, listen. Eve listened to the serpent, and the man listened to Eve.
But
That's
then
why I was
you
saying
said
both of them are to blame.
you couldn't say yes, the woman is to blame for listening to the devil. You had to try to pull the man in. But
Yes,
when I
because
asked you,
God
was the
told the
man
man
to
to manage
blame
the
to listen?
garden.
They always gonna pull you in, gentlemen. They always gonna pull you in. That's why you have to be firm. They're always gonna pull you in. You know what it's called when they pull you in? It's called plausible deniability. Plausible deniability. I don't even know if I'm spelling this right, but I'm gonna flash it on the screen. Plausible deniability. That's what this is. That's why they always bring you in. That's why you have to be firm, especially if you know better. They say when you know better, you do better. That's why you have to be firm, because you cannot allow yourself to be put in a situation, because if you allow yourself to be put in that situation, what's the woman going to say? It was his fault. And they're going to say, you know what? It was his fault because he shouldn't even put himself in that situation.
I asked you if the man was to blame for listening to the woman. You're like, yes.
Jesse,
You don't
isn't
see the
man
hypocrisy in
responsible?
that.
No, just listen, Jesse.
No. You
We
don't
were
see the
talking about
hypocrisy in
order.
that.
No, there's no hypocrisy.
She does see the hypocrisy in it. She's not stupid. This is the contradictory nature. This is the evil. The evil is, I see the hypocrisy in it, but it doesn't matter if it's hypocrisy in it, because at the end of the day, I am guided by something different than my man. I'm guided by something different than the Bible. She called in and said she was a virtuous woman. This is very important, gentlemen, because we have a problem in the church today. But the reason why this conversation is very important is because when we don't have a standard anymore. So when you actually get women that call in and say that they are acting on a certain standard, then you can start holding them accountable. Like, hold on, you say you believe in the Bible, this, that, and the third. Everything you saying right now goes directly against the Bible. Everything. And then when you see that what she's saying is going against the Bible, then you have to question. Y'all dudes, y'all keep listening to women if you want to, man.
I
than
can't
that.
Because
you
at the end of the day, you're gonna listen to women and you ain't gonna realize that you the one that's gotta pay, which is why you see the thumbnail, finances of dysfunction. Because either way, you have to pay.
Whenever you
admit,
was
why can't you admit that the woman is to blame for listening to the devil? What would happen to you if you said yes to that truth?
nothing would happen to
Well,
me
why can't you admit that?
because I don't agree that the woman played a part alone. Didn't you say
She was
before
when she
that
was in
it
the
was an order?
garden. She
Yes,
was in the
see?
garden listening to the devil. Adam was nowhere around.
But God told both of them not to touch that fruit.
When
He
she was
just
in
said Adam was nowhere around.
the
Whenever you
garden,
said
when she was in the garden listening to the devil, was Adam around?
the woman saw
Was
that
Adam
the tree
around?
fruit
Was
was good,
Adam around?
it doesn't.
So that's enough of that. But this was the original topic that I had for today. And I wanted to go into it because it's very important. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure where my guy is at, man. I hope he can get in here and rock with me. But fair use. Fair use. I don't want to I don't want you to sit up here and think, hey, these words are coming from Q. These are Q thoughts. With certain things, you have to see it for yourself. And this is major. You start going into the church, you start questioning these people, these women that's talking, start questioning these men. Get into your Bible more, and you will see, you'll be like, hold up, that don't sit too right. And when you do that, you will see that most people are not actually living by those standards. They're going to tell you you need to soften your approach. They're going to try to emasculate you. Even though you're supposed to be hard, they're going to tell you you need to soften your approach. So we are asking the question today, just to do a quick reset. Are women evil? The first example we gave was a woman calling in Jesse Lee Peterson's show and not having an inability to accept accountability for anything that she has done. That's the first example we gave. Now, what I want to talk to you guys about now is this. It's this idea, right, that somehow what you do as a man is invaluable. It's invaluable. There's a great book by a guy named Warren Farrell. Okay. Warren Farrell wrote the book called The Boy Crisis. And inside that book, he spoke about one of the primary disadvantages to a young man not having a father in his life. Okay. And even young women, but he was talking about the boy crisis. One of the primary disadvantages is the difference in parenting styles, right? So, how does a woman parent versus a man? We'll put it this way: short term, long term. Men are more long term in their parenting, women are more short term in their parenting. When it comes to laying down consequences, when it comes to dealing with certain issues. And the thing about men and women, before we had all of these, people getting involved in our household and telling us how we should do things, the thing about men and women is we actually work well together. We actually work well together, right? Because the short term is necessary and the long term is necessary. So it's not that we don't work well together. It's just that we have demonized the man's way of doing things. And we've also told the man that what he brings to the table is not valuable. This is the primary issue that we have. And the reason why, one of the main components of telling a man that what he brings to the table is not valuable is basically by you not allowing him to lead. Or you attempting to emasculate him, you attempting to groom him and tell him how he should be leading. Once again, what I care about here is the attempt when it comes to the interaction between men and women. If when we say you don't allow a man to lead, what we saying is that you are attempting to lead, right? Instead of trusting a man, instead of trusting the universe, for all of you universe people. Now, in a man's leadership, you have in everything a man brings to the table, a lot of times is not an immediate thing, right? And so it is very easy to devalue what men bring to the table, because let me give you an example how it was for me growing up. If this you, Mo, drop a comment, let me know what's going on. But this is how I grew up. I grew up where there was a woman in the household, there was a man in the household. All right. Women would always, say things, and the children might listen a little bit. They may listen a little bit. And then when it get out of hand, the mother says, I'm going to tell your father. And when the woman says, I'm going to tell your father, the father comes in, he doesn't ask any questions. He immediately starts giving out punishment. This is showing you how the short term and long term work together, right? Now, what I'm basically telling you is that a woman will say, I don't, children don't need a father. I could raise the children myself, until they get to a point to where they telling their kids to stop doing something, right? And the kids keep doing it. And then they have to call outside sources to come in. And this is how men are continuously devalued. All right. So if this is not Mo, I'm going to play this clip because I wanted to go into this. Listen, a lot of people say that Fresh and Fit are clowns. I don't think Fresh and Fit are clowns, but I think that in some ways they don't necessarily how can I put this? Okay. Like when it came, so I've taken personal and professional training and development, right? And one of the things that they tell us when we are inside the class is that when you talk to people outside of this room, do not talk to them with jargon. Do not talk to them with the language that we speak in this room, because they don't understand the language. I think that a lot of times when people listen to Fresh and Fit, they say things that they have a good idea, but they keep going back to Rollo Tomasi's book, and the problem with that is that if people haven't read that book, if they're not aware of what these guys are saying, then a lot of things have to be explained further, right? So, like I said, I see that they do this a lot, and it can make you look like a clown because you just quoting something that you heard, and it can make people say, well, at the end of the day, bro, like, do you how does this relate to the real world? You pretty much are living in a cult. You're living in a bubble. That's what people think when you use jargon and you don't apply it to real life. So I want to sort of go through this conversation that Fresh and Fit were having, fair use once again, that they were having with this Australian talk host. And I want to point out what I'm telling you about a man's role and how a lot of the things that men bring to the table are based on delayed gratification. And one of the things that we live in a society based on instant gratification, for one, but consumerism. But this is one of the main determining factors in people being successful: delayed gratification. This is one of the most valuable assets that men bring to the table when it comes to rearing children, teaching children, raising children. And not being able to deal with delayed gratification is part of the reason why you have so many people in jail and things of that nature. Is directly related to not having a father in the household, because they believe that they should get everything now. They shouldn't have to wait for anything because they've been raised in a short-term mindset. They've been raised in a short-term mindset. So I'm gonna go ahead and I sped it up a little bit. I hope it sounds good, but I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip really quick from these guys. Once again, like I said, I know a lot of people think they clowns, but you know, it is what it is, man. Let's go.
Are men and women equal?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
No, we're not at all. We're not.
Okay.
Men and women are different.
So
Have you ever heard?
So they start off the conversation asking, are men and women equal?
Are of equal value?
Well, here's the thing. From a human's rights perspective and, you know, the value of your life, yes, we're equal. No one's better than anyone in that regard. But when it comes to biology and intersexual dynamics, we're 100% different. And the reason why
that is true.
is because-
Scientifically, he's correct. We are different, right?
But what I don't understand is how does that apply to
It
the
applies
question that I
fine.
asked
So,
when
yeah,
I
so
said
let me
to
get
guys?
to it.
Okay.
So the reason why is because we have differing sexual strategies. Men want quantity, women want.
So now when he says this about sexual strategies, what I'm saying is that he's now talking about some red pill shit. He's talking about something he read from a book, right? What I'm saying is that it's not that it doesn't actually apply to real life. It's just that he's saying things that people not going to be able to relate to sexual strategy. Like most people don't know what the sexual marketplace is and sexual strategy. And I think that's part of the reason why, you know, they receive so much blowback, because he basically just says something to them, right? And Myron, and they've been doing this for a minute. So, you know, but he basically just says something that probably requires a master class to learn, but they're not going to be able to decipher that. And he's not going to be able to explain that in an interview. And so to me, this is where everything started going left.
Quality. So our sexual strategies are literally opposing each other. So men want to be able to get with as many girls as possible, right? Unlimited sexuality. Shout out to our guy Rollo Tomas. We talk about this in detail. Versus women, I say women want typically unlimited security from the best man that they can get, versus men want to get the most women they can get. So it's been that way since the beginning of time. Powerful and strong men have had hordes of women, and then women align themselves with the strongest men. So
we see this, right? LeBron James going down the elevator, he got a wife. It's women chasing him, right? So we see that, you know, when you become a certain type of man, what Myron is basically saying is when you become a certain type of man, all of these things that women telling you they want in a man, they want a monogamous man, they want this type of man, they want that type of man, all those things go out the window when they see a guy. I mean, it's a lot of women that don't mind sharing men. You know what I'm saying? So pretty much that's what he's saying. If you official, if you got something going for yourself as a man, whatever that may be, you can have multiple women, right? Whereas most women don't even want to go to work and share what they make with one man, let alone having 3 husbands. You know what I'm saying? It's just not how women are set up. Like when you listen to these feminists talk, they say one of the biggest hurdles that they had to overcome is the idea that their husbands stay at home while they go to work and make all the money. Because most of these women that go out and make that money, they like, that's my money. So if the husband go dip his hands in the bank account and do something without asking her permission, it's a shock to her system. Like, hold up, I earned that money. How you just gonna go in the account and take that money? Men are not like that. You know, most men, when they make their money, whatever they make, they like, that's, you know, I take care of my wife. That's what men do. That's just how we set up spiritually. And so when he says that men are more into quantity, what he basically saying is that men have the capacity to have more than one, just because how we are set up. We are set up to where if we can afford it, we will take care of more than one woman happily. Even if women could afford it, they're not trying to take care of more than one man. At tops, they'll just want to sleep with more than one man and give them a little, you know, a little money here and there to go run off and do something until you want them to come back again. Let's keep listening. But all of this is jargon, but let's keep going.
we don't play by the same set of rules, and our sexual strategies influences how we view the world, how we view the opposite gender, how we try to procreate with each other, we're very different. So what men can do, women can't necessarily do sometimes. So we're not the same.
So,
And it's just unfortunately a double standard that does not benefit women for once.
so just going back to that question that I asked, can a man be on Instagram in a relationship,
Yes.
but not a
It's the
woman?
same. It's not the same.
Why?
Well, does it depend on the content that
Like,
they're putting
definitely,
out?
it
Like,
would
if I'm
have to.
shirtless on Instagram, like showing me big fat man boobs and gyrating around a sexy dance, that would be cheap. What if I was just on there talking about, fitness?
I would
apps and
love
stuff?
to
That-
get more opinion on this. I would love to get more opinion on this.
It's a whole different vibe. So it's content related, right?
Yeah, but the thing is that I don't think people understand is that a man even a man that's extremely good looking is not going to get nearly the amount of options that a woman that's mediocre.
What Myron basically is saying is this: as a man, there's no such thing as a man being off the market, but there is a such thing as women being off the market.
And
Are
But
you
that is
kidding?
true. That
No,
is true.
that is
Yes.
so not true.
But
Do you
look
know
at-
how many hot guys get DM'd on Instagram?
Oh, we're not talking
with
about
women?
DMs. We're talking about real life
No,
benefits,
no,
like
no, you're
being
not. You're
served
talking about
first at the shop and stuff
no.
like that.
I'm talking about Instagram. You're saying a man can go on Instagram in a relationship and it not be
pull up that
considered
chart,
cheating.
Mark. So, okay, I'm going to get one of my guys to show you guys something. But yes, a lot of women are unaware of this. But men, unless they're in the top 2% of looks and aesthetics and everything else like that, they get virtually no play in online dating sites, Instagram. Men don't get as much sexual attention as women think. The issue is that women see the world through their view. They think, I get a lot of attention, so attractive guys must be getting a lot of attention too. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Men do not get nearly the same amount of sexual
But
attention
they're
as women
still
do.
getting it. So I don't
not,
understand.
not as much as
Not
like,
as much.
there's a lot
Not
of
as much.
sexy
So
girls
just
online.
because a girl might get, let's say 50 DMs that have guys wanting to date her, when the guy gets 20 DMs, yes, there might be a little difference there, but they're still getting hit on by
Let's go back to
females.
the old nightclub rules. Let's
no,
go back to
no.
nightclub. If you're at the nightclub, and the boys have talked about this on the Fresh and Fit podcast, boys will line up and will
Hold on.
stand there for
Hold on.
ages.
Let me show you
Now
something
this
real quick.
guy is rocking with them right now, but you're gonna see that he ends up not rocking with them because it's just some weird thing that they do that turns people off. In terms of just the conversation piece. But now this is a graph that's up that proves what Myron is saying. That at the end of the day, if you are an above average man, you don't even get as much attention as an average woman, which now proves the concept of quantity versus quality, right? With all of these men inside women DMs, a woman is going to have the tendency to say, let me find the best one. How did the Tinder swindler happen? Because he basically met this girl and other women and showed them riches and invited them on a plane, but everything started with him showing off his riches or his so-called riches, right? And so when women get on there, they got a bunch of people in their DMs too, but they're looking for quality. They're looking for a man who can give them unlimited provision. We see it every day. And the stats here bear it out that at the end of the day, a guy, if he got 20 DMs, he might take 10 of those girls on a date within the same thing the Tinder swindler did. All those women that responded to him, all of those women were sending him money. All of those women was caught up in his game. All of those women became a part of his agenda. You know what I'm saying? Or most of those women. So, you can see the strategy right there, but let's keep looking.
Quick, I'm gonna show you guys something real quick. On the screen right here, we have a chart from OkCupid. And this illustrates that even the most attractive men in the light blue are not even barely competing against girls in the mid-range, average girls.
It's not even half. It's not even half the level, right?
Not even half of the messages received.
Yeah.
Now, that's on a dating site. On Instagram, this is even more pronounced. Okay. And this doesn't account for, the Plenty of Fish data, the Tinder data that we have. Men do not get nearly as many options as women. And even if we're talking about top tier guys, they still cannot compete. Men and women are not the same. We're not blank slate equals.
Yeah, no, I know
It's
they're
very
not the
different.
same.
So when he says blank slate equals, he's talking about a red pill term here. But he's just saying men and women are not the same. We're not equal. Everybody should know this by now, but that's why I did the Adam and Eve thing first. This is why I set everything up with Jesse Lee Peterson, right? Because when that situation happened in the Garden of Eden, who had to be accountable? Who did God want to speak to? He wanted to speak to Adam. He didn't say, let me speak to Eve. Let me speak to you, Adam. You were supposed to be holding it down. what happened? Right there just kills the whole equality situation, because you got to realize that most of these people only want to be equal during times of peace. And peace is a short-term thing. When war comes, it's like, damn, I didn't expect war to be here, but it's here now. And all these women that was talking, they got plenty of posts out there where women like, I'll be in the kitchen. So if you are a man or if you a security company, okay, and this is why, this is what y'all need to understand, fellas, about what you bring to the table and what you provide. If you are a security company, okay, you do not guarantee that somebody will not be killed. You do not guarantee that, people won't get hurt, but you show up every day to secure the premises. You are supposed to get paid for doing that. This is the whole mindset behind being a pimp. Is guidance, is provision, is leadership, right? You showing up every day to lead, okay? If war doesn't happen till 20 years from now, it doesn't matter, because that was 20 years where you was on the job before the war actually happened. So now when it's time for you to step up, you happily step in because you've been properly compensated. A lot of men, especially in America, the only compensation that we want is for women to bear our children, be faithful, and pretty much be willing to give over their resources to us. That's what we want, right? We want a woman that's going to carry on our legacy, just in case we have to go to war, right? And we have to go off. So now, when it's wartime, the fact that you had a woman that was rocking with you, you can go to war and you can say, you know what? I've sacrificed for a good cause, to protect my homeland, to protect what I built. Me and my fellow men, we're going out to protect the wife and the children. That's not what's going on nowadays. You see what's going on in Ukraine, right? They told men, and this is why, one of the biggest issues that we have in terms of getting our women in order is the government. But the government is operating under the devil's plan. So the government is allowing women to do certain things and forcing men to do certain things. They say, hey, if you don't pay this child support, if you don't do this, we're going to take all your license, whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. All right. But we see now in Ukraine a situation where feminism was brewing out there. And these women were running around talking about feminism. They had purple, red hair, yellow hair, running around with signs talking about this, that, and the third. Now, these men in Ukraine are in Ukraine fighting for those women and children that did not honor them for however long Ukraine had their freedom. They're fighting to uphold something that is dishonorable, that's not worth upholding. Just like Will Smith smacking Chris Rock for Jada Pinkett Smith. Why would you smack a man for that woman? Why would you go to war for those women? That's why when these women say they the most unprotected, it's because they're the most disrespectful. As a man, especially a black man, you're supposed to shut up, okay? Give no correction. You're supposed to lay down some heavy pipe game. You're supposed to be Romeo, okay? You're supposed to provide money, but you're not supposed to be guiding and directing your woman. She may let you direct your children when she get tired, but she's going to tell you how to parent too, okay? So this is what I mean when I say most of the value that men provide is all in things with delayed gratification. So it's very easy to dismiss what we provide. But gentlemen, that's why you have to put a premium on what you provide, because if you don't, she definitely is not going to, and the government is not going to. The government going to say you need to continue to support her. When you have sex as a man, it's a sin, and you need to be accountable for what you do with your dipstick. When she have sex as a woman, it's her expressing her sexual, it's her being sexually liberated, having the same privileges as a man, which no man has really ever had the privileges of just sleeping around. And the men that do have that privilege, it's because they don't take care of none of their children. So you telling women you could be liberated like who? Liberated like men. Most men have never been liberated. Anywho's, let's go.
Finish, please. It's
You're
not
just not
the same.
making. You're not actually proving your point very well.
I literally
My-
have a chart on the screen proving that women get far more attention than men do
Not
on the
from a
internet.
dating site that says women get more attention. Yes, that's obvious. But the point you made was that women should not be allowed on Instagram if they're in a relationship because of the attention they get. And you're kind of saying that guys can.
So, question.
Now, why would anybody have a problem with this man's standards? If you don't want to be with a man like that, don't be with a man like that. But I will tell you this. This is what I find very, very interesting. It's a lot of people out here talking about relationships. They're not married. They don't want to be married. And all they're doing is dating. So why are you talking about relationships? And this is one man with an opinion. And you act like if he says that women shouldn't be on Instagram, people gonna listen to him. Y'all don't even listen to the men that's in your household. So why is it a big deal that he's saying what he's saying?
Question for you. If you're dating somebody, right, should you be on a
Hmm.
dating app?
Not on a dating app, no.
Okay, perfect. So do you know, right? Instagram is one of the biggest dating apps in the world.
Yeah, I
You know
get that, but it's also an app where people like to share other things. It's not all just thirst traps, right?
So now let me put this back up, because what they just talked about, what she just said, is plausible deniability. She's saying, yeah, I understand that Instagram is one of the biggest dating platforms. Let me tell you something right now. That graph that they just put up, it doesn't matter what the content is. I know my homies, they hit up girls that's business ladies. That's not putting out no. Men hit on women. Men gonna shoot they shot. If your girl on social media is there's a likelihood that there is some man or some men that she is talking to. Hey, I ain't seen you in a long time. Then what she do? Oh, she go click on his pictures, because what we are not going to sit here and act like, we not going to sit here and act like women are not thirsty for attention. See, that's what Myron is basically pointing out here, is that what's not being said in all of this is that men don't care about attention that much. We okay with not having attention. We like money. We like, these type of things. But women absolutely love attention. They love to have their ego stroke. They want the praise and worship of God. This is what you got to understand. Okay. So at the end of the day, when your girl is out there, she is putting herself in a position where she's exposed. When T.I. and Mayweather had an issue, Mayweather said, I don't bring my trophies out the house. T.I. and Floyd Mayweather. See, if your job is to provide and protect, you can't protect somebody that's exposed. And see, what women keep acting like is they keep acting like they don't need the protection, and y'all dudes keep allowing females to act that way.
So,
Yes.
if you're in a relationship, not every girl is posting a picture of herself in a bikini.
Here's the
So
problem,
what-
though.
Aren't they?
If,
No.
if there's two scenarios here, right? A guy posts a picture of himself, let's say abs, shirtless, right? He gets
Yeah.
attention. A girl posts a picture or a story or post.
My point is simply this. Men, that's how men view relationships with women. They might not admit this, but men are territorial with their women. This is why women that are promiscuous have a very difficult time getting men to commit to them, because men don't want to be with women that other men have been with, or they don't want a girl that has high mileage. That's why.
Or let's put it like this: men don't want to protect and provide and marry. And that's what I love about what Kevin Samuels did. is he said, no, we're not going to talk about dating. We're not going to talk about how many sausages you can get tossed in your hole. We're going to talk about the actual measurements of what y'all say y'all want. Y'all say y'all want to be wives, but none of y'all are marriageable. None of y'all are marriageable. And therein lies the problem. Is that when we start talking about all of this, none of it matters if you're talking about giving out free sex. Most men, once again, we signing up for free sex. Most men, especially if you're not married, you signing up for free sex. Now, I don't believe in free sex. I believe that men pay on the back end, and a lot of times what you pay is even more, and it's fool's gold to believe in free sex. But the whole idea of you dating a man and you not getting the commitment, the marriage, and things of that nature, the whole idea of that is that y'all women can say whatever you want, but it's not men out here proposing to y'all. It's not men out here asking y'all to be their wife. They might ask to date you, but what Myron is saying is that men don't mind if y'all like this, if it's just sex, but men don't want to be married to women like this.
The dealership, you paid full price for that vehicle, brought it back home, and then someone said, hey, I want to still be able to see it or whatever. You had a point of contention with that. Why? Because you paid full price for the vehicle and you feel like you're getting used and abused when you put all the money down. That's how men view relationships and marriage with women. If I'm going to give you my last name, you cannot go out there and embarrass me.
He just said, if I'm going to give you my last name, you're not going to go out there and ruin my last name. When the lady was talking to Jesse Lee Peterson about the virtuous woman, one of the things about the virtuous woman is she is supposed to make your name shine. She is supposed to lift your name up in high esteem. When people see your woman walking around, they're supposed to say, wow, he is so lucky. And what was the first thing that she was saying, the mother was saying to her son about a virtuous woman, was that women have torn down kings, nigga. So you better get you a woman that's going to lift your name up, because you a prince, you a king. Do not get a woman that's going to tear your name down. Get a woman that's interested in lifting your name up. And what Myron basically just said is, I'm giving you my last name, but that doesn't mean a whole lot to women nowadays.
Men and women are not the same when it comes
And
to relationships.
can I now say something?
Please go ahead.
Women sometimes feel the same way. We could be in a
It
relationship.
doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter how you feel. The reality is, we make the investment. You take our last name, and in most divorces, like 80% of divorces, men are the ones who are paying the alimony, regardless if the woman did something messed up or not.
Man who's gorgeous and he's posting shirtless tops on Instagram, and we feel like, oh, that, that's a thirst trap, right? You're wanting attention. So why is it different? You just think it's okay for a guy to do it, but not okay for a girl to do it because you're territorial. We can be territorial too, but it goes back to my
The
point.
worst thing is a
But my
territorial
point
woman.
is that you just don't own someone. Like,
You can be territorial as a woman. But what Myron is basically saying is that this man worked to get in that position. And if you want to be with that man, you're going to have to accept the fact that he has options. Because what he wants and what you want are two different things.
your analogy about the car is way off, because that is something I've paid for and I own. In a relationship, I don't pay for it and I don't own the person.
Here's the thing.
Yes, and see, this is where we get into a lot of trouble, because we don't want to call a spade a spade. Yes, you do own your wife. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Guess who God called for? Adam. Where are you? You do own her. She is yours.
you're letting your feelings, right, get in the
And
way.
see,
of
I'm
right
not-
there, I would have just said, yes, your husband is supposed to own you.
basic
I'm not.
logic-
I'm
basic
thinking
logic is-
rationally.
Can
I'm
I
really
please-
not.
Can I please finish my point? I let you speak.
You're
I'm
not saying that. You
This
say that as a
guy's-
really a passive aggressive
He'd be
way of
great
having a
arguing this guy.
conversation. Not really, because I see what you're doing. I see right through it. But go ahead.
Here's the thing. I'm explaining to you how men view relationships. You might not like
Mm.
it. You might hurt your feelings. You might say, I'm not a piece of property, whatever. But with all due respect, fuck your feelings. This is how men view
Fuck your
relationships.
feelings.
See,
I
this
don't
is
care
where things go left.
about your
I'm not
feelings
using
either. You're actually misogynistic and egotistical, and it's a kind of a concern the way you view relationships. Like you have ownership of women.
He's
Yeah, that's
laughing because he heard this a million times.
Kind of how it's coming across.
When do we say we own women?
Yeah, when did we say
Oh,
that?
it's like you. If I'm going to give you my
You
last
should
name,
have said that. See, that's what I'm saying. Y'all gotta stand on it. You gotta stand on it and have the conversation. Because if I'm gonna make you my wife, you mine. You gotta stand on that. Them not standing on that means that now the conversation is not gonna flow the way it's supposed to, because that's a point of contingency.
I'm going to commit to you, then you're not allowed to have a for sale sign around your neck by being in a bikini. That kind of behavior is like, that scares me in a
I
relationship.
hate when women use the word behavior. But once again, this is the equality argument that they started with. And this is what they were talking about with Jesse Lee Peterson. It's all the same thing over and over.
Oh,
I
remember,
would never want to be with a guy that is like that.
a woman
I'm-
can do whatever she wants.
She can do whatever she
We're
wants,
just
honestly.
saying our standards are this. If you want to comply, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
And remember, we're talking about a committed relationship with a man. So if you put pictures like that on the internet, that's fine. You can do it. We never said you can't do it. You're putting words in our mouth. I'm simply
Mm.
saying, if I'm going to commit to you, give you marriage, give you a title, give you a ring, give you children, I expect a certain type of woman. Why is it that when men have standards,
She's
it's
giving you all
always
those things
met
too.
with something- no,
Exactly. I
hold on.
love it how it's
She's
just
giving
them
you
giving.
women.
You're
No,
giving it
let me
to
finish.
us.
Let me
We
finish.
should be so thankful.
Let me finish.
You
When a man-
should be so thankful. Yes.
Because here's the thing: women control sex, men control relationships. So since I'm the gatekeeper to relationships,
See, here's
you want
another concept. I don't like when he does this.
to take my last name. Last time I checked, girls want to walk down the aisle in a white dress with their father leading them. Correct? To a man. Women are the ones that want security in the marriage. So if I'm a man and I'm going to give you that, I need to vet you and make sure that you are a good candidate to be my wife.
Oh
secure your name,
my
secure my
God,
family.
I want to
So, can I
vomit
please
listening
finish?
to what
Can I
you're
please finish?
saying.
Can I please finish?
First of all, do you live in the 1960s? Women are making their own money these days, my friend.
Most women are not. And that's the problem with feminism, is that a lot of women are not actually doing what they're saying they're doing. Right? When you look at the statistics, most women are not out here making, 100,000, 70,000. A lot of women they make on average less than men. Black men make like 43,000. Black women make like 40. Okay. So this whole idea that women are making their own money, whoop-de-woo, that couldn't be further from the truth. But the question becomes, it's not about who's making the most money, right? It's about if things go left, who is destroyed more by things going left? 9 times out of 10, it is the man who is destroyed on the back end. See, everything she's talking about, everything women talk about is short term and it's on the front end. But on the back end, it's the man who takes the brunt of the problem, the issues. Most men don't get their children. They could be qualified great parents. Most men don't get 50-50 custody. Most men don't get alimony. Most men don't get child support.
I am the one that supports the man in a relationship. I don't need security from a man.
Okay, that
just-
might be you. But
And
most of
that's a
them want
lot
their
of
man.
women.
No, actually, no.
Shit, I'm jumping on Jackie's side
Actually,
here.
no.
Oh, hang on.
Total
Here's
garbage.
Palestine. She's wild. She's from Palestine. Don't muck with her. You're Molotov
Just so
cocktail.
you know, I post bikini shots on my Instagram and I'm engaged and my partner is totally secure
Congratulations.
with that. You guys are full of shit.
You're a bit of a thirsty bitch, though, right? On the, when you're doing, who do you want attention from when you're
Do
doing
it
this?
by
I'm not.
yourself. We can
This is
do it by
We can do it when we want. We're still going to get proposed to, dickhead.
I
Oh,
guarantee
wow.
you,
There's no
Hank
need to be
goes first,
nasty,
yeah, no,
girls.
he's not
Feelings.
happy. I
I'm not
guarantee
being
you that.
nasty. I'm literally like, I just think your views are really antiquated.
Here's the thing. Again, like I said, this is how men view relationships. This is how men generally
Not
feel
all men.
when they're in
No way
relationships
all
with
men
women.
Not all
think
men.
that.
Well, you're gay, Brooklyn. Well, you stick to your
Guys,
own
Men
lane.
don't.
guys,
Men don't.
guys,
Kyle,
he's not even. That was deep. He's not even. He's gay.
you
Can I
don't.
finish
Speak
my
up,
point?
Kyle.
Can
It's
I
like
finish
you're.
my point here? Like you guys,
I'm not
ask
allowed, I
that
don't
question.
think we're never allowed to talk in this interview. It feels.
That's right. Like, 'cause here's the thing. You guys asked us to come on your show. We're answering the questions, and you guys are not letting us answer the questions. You're just cutting us off and
No, I
shaming us
have.
or whatever.
I
I'm
definitely.
just attack our masculinity, whatever it may be. Men can't be honest with women
No.
because you guys can't accept the truth.
It's a
And going
debate.
back to
It's
what
your
you're
You just
opinion.
said something very important. Very important.
That's
And going
my
back to what you're
opinion.
saying, you don't like care, like, oh, I could provide my own money, my own security. Congratulations, that's great. But regardless, when women make a certain amount of money, they still want a man that makes more money
And
than
this
they.
is very true. But I'm gonna bring up Ukraine once again. When everything falls down, what do they say? Women and children leave. The men stay back and fight. That's your security right there. You was able to leave the country. You and the children were able to leave the country. That's your security. That's always been your security. See, these women want to talk about money, but it was a great line in Baby Boy where Ving Rhames was talking about butter and guns. And money ain't nothing but butter. But a lot of women don't want to accept the fact of the other side of the equation. That if people want what you got, they gonna come try to take it. Then what you gonna do? Then what you gonna do? You gonna be looking for men, and then you gonna be crying and complaining that there ain't no men out here that's willing to protect you and take care of you.
Do typically around 26% more, or no, 52% more. So you can
Where are you
say
getting
that.
those stats from? Can I
That's
ask?
Okay,
not here in the
Cupid.
United States. Women typically want
Please, I don't want
at
another
least-
chart on the
They
screen.
want at least 26 to 52% more income than they do. Women,
See,
this is
this is the whole emotional thing too. I don't want another chart on the screen. I don't want to look at the facts. I don't care about these things. That means that just like when Jesse was pulling out the Bible, show like line for line, how do you deal with individuals that refuse to acknowledge what's in black and white? Okay, there may be some gray area, but what's in black and white? Can we at least agree on the black and white before we go to the gray?
been known since the beginning of time. Women do not only date their equals, if not preferably higher. So if a man is expected to come in, right, bring security, make more money, etc., why can't he have requirements? Why is it that a woman can say, I want a guy that makes this much money, this tall, this good looking, this charming, this confident, and a man says something simple like, I don't like to date women that put sexy photos of themselves on the internet for other men to see when she's supposed to be my woman. Why is that met with such contempt from women? Tell me that.
Well, he
Men
should
can
take
have
his
this-
Instagram down too.
That's my whole point.
Isn't-
Is
hang
your
on, isn't
double
it a-
standards? You've got
Isn't it a
double
jealousy?
standards.
I think it's a jealousy issue because, like, I've
Yeah.
dated women that were on.
I told y'all a long time ago that the double standards that benefit men in society is castrated. Like men have a double standard. Men can't benefit from any double standards. But all the double standards that benefit women, you're supposed to be okay with those double standards. So this is what the original conversation they having about being equal. This is what it boils down to. It really, at the end of the day, boils down to, listen, gentlemen, nobody is going to be okay with you taking advantage of your double standards. You have to hold your nuts and be okay with taking advantage of your double standards because she's definitely taking advantage of her double standards.
Line and has big Instagram followers and models, singers, all this. I've never thought, oh, like even my friends though, you're not wrong. My friends have said, bro, your missus is doing this online or whatever. This is over the years, and like I couldn't care because I'm solid
and
in myself.
security.
See, and that's one of the biggest things betas do. They say, I'm solid in myself. I was just talking to my wife about this last night. Man, getting into this space and dealing with this space, it really, listen, growing up, see, like coming into this space, I realized that you have like incels and things of that nature, right? And it blew my mind, right? That you have like men out here, and I was like, that's white issues. Growing up in a black neighborhood, just growing up around black people, period, the issues that we had is it's a whole bunch of pseudo players and pimps. And a lot of these guys, they think that they are saying something, like a dude to be like, yeah, I take my girl to the strip club with me. That's a place for men. Why would you take your girl to the strip club? That's supposed to be a place where you get away from your girl. Like, I'm secure in my manhood. I don't care if, my girl wears something sexy and all the men are looking at her. And now I might have to, I'm secure in my manhood. I'm not worried about another man taking my woman. And that's why y'all women keep getting took. Because you keep saying that you securing your manhood. And if you were securing your manhood, you would stand up and say, you not walking out the house with that shit on. You would start laying down the law. And let me tell you one of the benefits of laying down the law. It actually makes your girl wet. It actually makes her more sexually exciting to have a dominant man versus a man that's like, I'm securing my manhood. That don't turn no woman on, bro. Mentally, physically, spiritually. At the end of the day, you're gonna get the brunt of the blame no matter what. So you better start having some standards, because if you don't have no standards, you still gonna get the blame anyways for whatever happens. So you might as well go down being hard instead of taking this soft gray area approach. But most of y'all get caught up in saying, I'm securing my manhood.
I'm a
So-
fool. Maybe I'm a fool. Maybe not. I
Y'all
don't
not together no more.
know, but I do agree with Jackie that your partner shouldn't be. It's not like a pet. You don't own them. You can't control them. But I know what you're saying. You're not wrong. What you guys are saying as a generalization, but I think some men, some women, they think differently. But
Yeah.
I
Here's the
do
thing.
think when you're younger, in your 20s, you are jealous. Men are crazy. We don't get our head together until we're in our late 30s.
We have some calls, because if you just tuned in, obviously we're talking about a viewpoint that you guys have, which is if you're in a relationship, a girl should not have an Instagram account because technically that's cheating because of the amount of attention she gets from
Well, it's
guys.
not just the account. I think it's the account where you're gyrating around in your undies or less and
No, I
blowing
think-
kisses and all this stuff.
I'm pretty sure I asked, can you just
What
have an
about the
Instagram account?
workouts?
No,
What
we-
about
we
the
clearly- we
workouts?
clearly established that it's sexy photos when you're in a committed relationship that's disrespectful.
But the thing is you're saying a guy can post sexy photos and he can do that in a relationship,
Yes,
Yes.
men and women are not the same.
right?
The
but you
double
said
standard
that
burns
men
them up.
agree.
Mhm.
So if you're getting attention on
But the point is this, gentlemen. I just wanted to show you that because I just want you to see how one of the main things that women are talking about nowadays is they're saying, hey, I don't need no security from no man. I don't need no provision from a man. And I think in that interview, listen, the way the real world works, this is how the real world works. Okay. When somebody decides to protect you, when somebody decides that they are going to die for you, or there's going to be a service in which people are willing to die for you, when people do that, they assume ownership over you. You live in the United States of America, okay? The United States of America has ownership over its citizens. That's why they can tell you that if you do certain things, it is illegal. And that's why women are in trouble nowadays, because they have abandoned their men for a more ruthless tyrant, which is the government. They have abandoned their men for a more ruthless tyrant. And the problem is, if you bite the apple, you got to wait to see what the results are. You ain't going to know right now. You're not going to know today what the results going to be. After you eat it. It's 10 years later. It's 15 years later. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and he was talking about this idea of ideological subversion. Now I just want to make this very clear, okay? Because a lot of y'all are really not understanding like how the devil works. So let's look at it. Right here. Let's zoom in on this really quick. Right here, we have demoralization. Demoralization. Okay. Demoralization for this step in the process is 15 to 20 years are needed. That is the amount of time required to educate a generation. Helping along the way are media and teachers who have become sympathetically, consciously or unconsciously, to the theoretical causes of the subverting nation. Yuri claims that the USSR was surprised at how easy this phase was in the United States of America. What they're basically telling you right now is that we have been demoralized. And how do you demoralize people? You don't unteach them. You start with a fresh batch and you teach them, you educate them. This is what we have to understand, is that a lot of these conversations that we are having are based on what I would call based on miseducation. That's what our conversations typically revolve around. But the thing is, as you go out there and you attempt to educate people, you have to realize they are tied to the ideas that they have, even though they know the ideas don't work, because you can look at the results. This is exactly why they keep saying that something is antiquated, because they're saying you keep pointing back to a time when everything was working. That's what it means when they telling the men that they antiquated. They saying those were back in the days, and even though that worked, it's not going to work today. What they basically saying is that they have been educated. So this is what we do here. This is our main role. This is our main job. Our job is not to debate. You know, this is what your guy said, Dr. Clark. For those of you that don't know Dr. Clark, I suggest you go check him out. Dr. I want to say Henry Clark. Yeah, Dr. John Henrik Clark. You got to check this brother out. Let me zoom in on him. But what he said, you guys spend too much time debating people that's not on your level. Dr. John Henrik Clark said, I don't debate, I teach. I only debate my contemporaries. So when you see Fresh and Fit, or when you see these people going on having these conversations, you have to be aware that you are having conversations with people that are inferior to you based on their education, based on their results. If you've been married, how are you going to listen to people that haven't been married talk about dating? They haven't even made it out of the phase of dating. They don't have the information of how to sustain a relationship. But we have been miseducated. We have been miseducated. And this is why you have to stand up and you have to start educating people. Got this. I want to take you somewhere, because it's very important that we understand Once again, this is not Q making these things up. This is not me making these things up. Let's go here. Check out my guy real quick. We just talked about demoralization. Now let's listen to this guy speak about education, because these people were educated.
Welfare for this. Do you blame welfare so much for that? I don't. How does welfare cause a black father to desert his family?
Well, part of it is desertion, but part of it is that the family never existed in the first place. When you're talking about teenage girls who get pregnant and and never had a man in the house, well, not living, you say, there's not even a question of desertion.
Well, but when the figures rise as dramatically as they have done by 15 percentage points, what is it that's happening now that wasn't happening then? Just plain more sex, more teenage sex?
Yes, that's happening, I think, in the society at large. Part of the general degeneration of standards.
That's part of the general degeneration of standards. Y'all okay with y'all daughters opening up their legs at 13, 14, 15, 16? You okay with them sleeping with a man before they get married? That's a part of the demoralization. You've been educated to have a soft spine
In American society.
Well, would a corollary of your proposition that the more we engage in affirmative action, the less we succeed, be that the more we teach sex education, the less we learn?
Oh, absolutely. That what is amazing to me is how many propositions there are that are sacred without a speck of evidence and an utter.
That's because it's demoralization. Y'all dudes believe in a bunch of stuff. You believe in everything but God, and you don't have no evidence for what you believe in. You sending your kids to school, letting somebody teach them about sexual education, and what does the evidence show is what Thomas Sowell is saying right now. This is demonic, because they're introducing your children to something that they shouldn't even be introduced to. And guess what they tell you? They say they're going to do it anyway. So if you don't teach them about it, then you just preparing them. And ever since they started introducing sexual education into the schools, it's been more teenage pregnancies.
Absolutely. That what is amazing to me is how many propositions there are that are sacred without a speck of evidence and an utter defiance of all evidence. That sex education was promoted on the grounds that this will reduce illegitimacy, teenage pregnancy, which I think is more important than the legal status of the children, and it would also reduce venereal disease. And of course, it was instituted, and teenage pregnancy and venereal disease have shot up through the roof. I have seen practically no one say, let us reconsider this. We have become wedded to straight.
You know why they're not going to say, let us reconsider this, because it's a part of the devil's plan. It's a part of the serpent's plan. They don't want us to reconsider. And that's what Thomas Sowell knows. But what I'm basically pointing out to y'all is that this is education. It's proactive. When you talking to people, you're not convincing them. You're not convincing them. You are battling between something that they've been taught since they was little, that they don't have any evidence for, but it's a part of the demoralization.
Non-empirical propositions that no matter what happens, these doctrines are so, and they're not to be questioned.
So that if we don't succeed with affirmative action, we need more affirmative action.
I was told that this very morning. I pointed. It reminded me of the alcoholic who wakes up with a hangover and figures he has to have a drink to get over this. Yes, there's a tremendous range of these things, not only in the racial area, but throughout the whole social thinking today.
There's a tremendous range of this. The demoralization. Yo, Mo, drop a comment or something like that if you in the building. If this is not you, I'm gonna wrap up the live stream. I did have some things I wanted to go over. I had everything set up, man, for you to come through, but I did have some things I wanted to go over, man, about the Shakur Stevenson thing, and my brother's in the boxing has all of that information. But But the primary thing is this, man. You have to come to terms with the idea that a lot of these things that you're saying are going to be met with heavy resistance because it was proactive. But you also have to come to terms with the fact that if you don't start educating and promoting the truth, if you don't start educating and promoting the truth, you are part of the problem, not the solution. And when we look at situations where we showing somebody a book, and even though they see the book, they're going to deny what they see in the book. When we run into these type of situations, we have to understand that it is that this has also been a part of the education, the lack of accountability. Anywho's, if you would like to support my work, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment below, and we'll be back in here with more videos for y'all. Peace.